I've compared footage between the Action 3 and the Action 2 in the past, and this is when the Action 3 hadn't had its firmware update and when I wasn't too sure whether I still had that focusing issue. And so I wanted to do another comparison where the Action 3 is completely fine, it's got no focus issue, and it's had the latest firmware update as well. So I'm going to compare the Action 2 and the Action 3 and see which one's going to be better, because the specs are very similar for a lot of it. And so, yeah, I want to see if they're the same or one's better than the other. So in terms of specs where they're both identical, they both have a 1/1.7 inch CMOS sensor with an aperture of f2.8, and they both have a focus range of 30 centimeters to infinity. They also have a max bitrate of 130 megabits per second, and both of them have a slow motion mode in 1080 up to 8 times, which is 240 FPS. They both shoot 12 megapixel photos, and they both shoot 4K 120. So in terms of their differences, the Action 3 also has an advantage where it shoots HDR and it also shoots 10-bit in D-Cinelike. In terms of stabilization, the Action 3 has Rocksteady 3.0 and it has Rocksteady Plus, Horizon Steady and Horizon Balancing, whereas the Action 2 has Rocksteady 2.0 with Steady, Rocksteady and Horizon Steady. The Action 2 actually had a firmware update recently, I think it was on the 16th of February, and basically that allows you to collect gyro data whilst you're shooting your video footage. And this only works when you're filming with a wide field of view though, but it means that you can turn off image stabilization and then you can stabilize your footage in gyro flow, something that I'm going to try out, and I'll do a separate video on that later. So in terms of storage, the Action 2 has built-in storage, so you can either use an SD card or you can use the built-in storage, which is 32 gigs, but in actual fact, the usable storage limit is 22.4 gigabytes. So you have that if you need it, but the Action 3 doesn't have inbuilt storage. The other benefit of the Action 3, if you were to shoot in temperatures where it was freezing, is the fact that it has an operating temperature of -20 degrees, whereas the Action 2 is an operating temperature of 0 degrees. Both of them have the quick swap magnetic feature, but where the Action 3 differs is the fact that you've got the cage so that you can mount it vertically, and the Action 2 doesn't have that. So if you want to easily shoot vertical footage, then that's where the Action 3 has the advantage. But with the Action 2, you can mount it on the magnetic necklace and use it for POV shots. So getting down to the actual quality of the audio and the footage, the audio I think from both sounds decent, but I think the Action 3 sounds a little bit better. Just thought I'd do a quick audio test. It is really windy today, so I'm not expecting either of them to sound great, but it'd be interesting to hear how well one does with the wind better than the other, and also if there is even much difference in terms of the audio quality between the two. So yeah, this is the Action 3 audio, and then this is the Action 2 audio. It's also worth mentioning that the Action 2 doesn't actually have its touchscreen module, so it's just got the microphone just from the camera module. So I'll attach the touchscreen module, so then you've got all the microphones and then you can hear a better comparison. The module is now on the Action 2, so I'm shooting in mono with the front speakers with wind noise reduction off, and that's on both of the cameras, so the Action 3 and the Action 2. And this is what the audio sounds like. So when it comes down to actual video quality, I think overall the Action 3 is better than the Action 2, especially when it comes down to dynamic range. And this is without HDR, this is just shooting like for like in the normal colour profile. The Action 2 seems to blow out more than the Action 3. If you look at the Action 2, in particular the sky, whether it's on an overcast day or a sunny day, the sky is blown out, and the Action 3 does really well at handling that dynamic range. But also having that HDR mode on the Action 3, you can definitely see a difference between that and shooting in normal on the Action 2 as well. And actually the D-Cinelike footage does look better on the Action 3, I think, and that is down to 10-bit colour, and it's also easier to colour correct as well. If you struggle with colour correcting D-Cinelike footage, whether it's for the Action 2, Action 3, Pocket 2, Mini 3, any DJI product, then I've created some correction LUTs which will make it a lot easier and a lot quicker for you. The link's in the description. So I think the Action 3 definitely has more going for it over the Action 2. The Action 3 is definitely more rugged and more durable and less fragile. I've dropped both of the cameras and I was more panicked about the Action 2 than I was about the Action 3. So yeah, definitely Action 3 in terms of like durability. Obviously the Action 2 is a lot smaller, so it's got that small form factor if you just want something that is really, really discreet, or something that you want to mount on an FPV drone, for example, then that's where the Action 2 kind of wins. But if you think about it in terms of battery life as well, the Action 3 definitely lasts longer than the Action 2. And the Action 2 doesn't have removable batteries. You have to buy these modules, whether it's the touchscreen module or the power module. And they're not cheap, okay? They're not cheap at all. So the Action 3, just being able to replace actual batteries, which aren't going to cost the earth, is a massive bonus. So again, that's where the Action 3 kind of outperforms with the Action 2, because the battery life is just incredible. So I think if I had neither camera, I would probably go for the Action 3, but that's just my opinion. I just think that for how I shoot and for what I want, it's definitely better for me than the Action 2. But if you want that really small form factor, then obviously the Action 2 is going to be better. And it's also a really cheap price at the moment. I think it's like $270 or something, or like around that price point, so you can get it really cheap at the moment. But the Action 3 is still really affordable as well. So yeah, let me know what you think. What do you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you found the video useful. If you did, do give the video a like. But thank you for watching, and catch you guys on the next video.